restraining order against her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, writing in the order application she, quote, fears for her unborn child. In Peterson's habeas appeal, he argued Miss Nice gave false answers to get on the jury because this case, like Miss Nice's past case, involved harm to an unborn child. The state Supreme Court, with its ruling, seems to agree that the issue needs to be reviewed. The state, on the other hand, says the argument, quote, borders on the ridiculous. Scott Peterson's sister-in-law, Janie, has been fighting for Peterson's release since his conviction.
She feared for the life of her unborn child. So, you know, when you're looking to be seated as a juror in a trial where a pregnant woman was murdered, that's relevant information that needs to be presented to the court prior to being seated on that jury.
In 2017, the juror, Richelle Nice, did an interview with the Modesto Bee, denying she lied to get on the jury.
Scott's appeal lawyers are making up this story. I did not lie to get on this trial to fry Scott. I did not. That was not my intention.
That's juror number 7, probably the most famous of all the jurors from the Scott Peterson trial. For those of us who were covering it, we were talking about it. There were no cameras inside the courtroom, and even if there were, you wouldn't see the jury. But we met her afterwards. She was the one that was referred to as strawberry shortcake throughout. Let's bring back in the think tank, Michael Sterling, Ann Bremner, Rick King. Ann, you were there for all of this. Strawberry shortcake. Is this for real? Now, she's been granted, and I've never heard of this before. A juror has been granted immunity, or is going to be granted immunity to testify in this hearing. What's going on here?
No, I've never heard of it before. And Vinny, you and I covered the trial back in 2003. I can't remember, it's been so long, but Strawberry Shortcake dyed her hair bright red during the trial and got that name because people were looking for indications of which way she was leaning, remember, in the case, and why was she being so extreme? Because everyone was reading the tea leaves with these jurors, because it was a really, I think, a case that was not super strong in a lot of people's mind, at least back then. Yet, being granted immunity, I've never heard of that. I've seen prosecutions potential of jurors if they, go on the internet or go into court orders, that kind of thing. But I haven't done the research, but I can't imagine where you would see immunity for a juror for withholding information. I don't think it was under penalty of perjury. I don't think they had a jury form with that type of a form on it. I may be wrong, or they swore under penalty of perjury that what they said was true. That might make a difference. But you're right, unheard of. But it's Scott Peterson case. It just keeps coming back and coming back and coming back. Here we are with Strawberry Shortcake, most famous juror in his case.
All right, Michael Sterling, you're the professor. Is this going to be enough to take a man who was on death row? He's already gotten off of death row out in California, but enough to get him a new trial?
I think it depends on her testimony, Vinny. I really do. One of the most fundamental principles of trial advocacy, trial law, is that you're entitled to a biased and impartial jury. If someone robs you of that by misrepresenting facts that are material on jury forms, in questionnaire, and you're not allowed, and his lawyers are not given the opportunity to question her and to determine whether or not she can set aside any preconceived notions, biases, any of her own personal experiences, and be a fair and impartial juror, then that could potentially be the possibility to overturn. But the question becomes, what's her testimony going to be? I don't think we can look at this in the abstract and simply say she answered this question the wrong way on the jury form. Ann brings up a good point. We don't know if that was necessarily under oath, but the question becomes, what is her testimony going to be? And I think there is at least some room, because I think the question was framed, have you ever filed a civil suit or something of that sort? And she said no, but she had filed for this protective order, which is civil in nature. So I think there's going to be some, she's going to be questioned heavily, cross-examined heavily, and she's been granted immunity because otherwise she was going to plead the fifth, so she wasn't ultimately charged with perjury or obstructing justice. So that's why she's been granted immunity, because she was just going to get up there and plead the fifth, which was going to probably help Scott Peterson's case, and the prosecutors want to avoid a new trial.
Unbelievable development here, Rick.
I tell you what, though, I applaud the prosecutor's office for granting her the immunity, and because it gives the appearance that hey, look, we're just trying to get to justice here, and I applaud the prosecutor's office for doing that. And also, you have to agree with the professor in this. It depends on what she says. I mean, ultimately, we had a similar case here. Remember when John Goodman, when we had a juror in that case who was not so honest about what happened, and so we know that it can result in a new trial. We'll just have to see what she says.
Yeah, what really struck me, Ann, was in her interview with the Modesto Bee that we saw, as she used that word, and I interviewed her because she wrote a book along with several other jurors and spoke to all of them for a couple of hours on the air. And she used that word. I didn't lie to get on there to fry him, but that's kind of the way she sees what the jury did. They basically fried Peterson.
Oh yeah, and that was Frank Portlow, I think, wrote that book from People magazine, and all the jurors cooperated. And I remember when I walked in that courtroom, I was in the trial a little bit late, but people were like, "Oh, how's this case going to go? We don't know." I walked in, I took one look at that jury. I'm like, they are going to fry him. I mean, it just all, including her, people with their arms crossed. I mean, it was like he's going down, and they wanted to wipe that smirk off his face. Remember, that's what they said. They wanted to wipe that smirk off his face with their verdict. With a guilty verdict and a death verdict.
Absolutely.